go through each round, but we're first going to give eulogies for our personal favorite teams. Me with the Knicks, Alex with the Lakers. It's also very interesting to see how his team is. I will give um, Bars with he Bars is both the Heat and a Utah fan, so he's
That's
still
not
in
it.
there.
So he
And
doesn't
then
got a
Bach with the
eulogy.
Spurs.
How do you pick the
Yeah.
Jazz and the Heat? Like, how does that even happen?
Well, last year the Jazz were on a really, really good run, and I've always been a Donovan Mitchell fan, so I kind of just fell into enjoying them. And they have a
Yeah.
really, really color scheme. Their jerseys, like I can't pass up on that.
NBA got like every team got like 5-10 jerseys now.
You know,
I
Serious.
hate the Spurs have like a camo jersey. I hate it. I think it's so ugly.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
I like the tuxedo throwback though, Bach.
Yeah, the Fiesta ones are really nice. Like
Yeah,
the
those are
throwback
nice.
ones are nice.
Those are real nice.
And so Desmond, if you want to give a eulogy for your team, or if your team's still in there, what's the situation?
Nah, my team's still in. We're the 4 seed right now. I have no idea what to expect. The Sixers, you just never know what you're gonna get from them. You know.
Oh, great!
Boy.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
You've had a
fun
fun
then.
year.
You never know.
So-
You never know.
Awesome. So we got a great perspective. All right then. If I don't have any questions, if there are no questions,
Bars, God.
let's get to it. You guys ready? So yeah, I'm just gonna just do a quick introduction. Hey, me, Desmond. Since you're new, you'll be last, and then we'll hop right to it. Sounds great, everybody. Oh,
Let's do it.
last but not least, Bars. Are you on a tablet or phone?
I am on my phone.
Do you mind just turning it horizontally so it evens out the aspect ratio for everyone? Great. All right. Without further ado, let's kick off our postseason coverage. All right, we'll start in 3, 2, 1.
Recording in progress.
For the second year in a row, the Productive Conversations podcast is covering the NBA postseason. This time, after a full 82-game season, 81-game season, I have to say, I did not expect the seeding to go the way it did, but it's going to be a lot of fun. We have some old faces. We got some new faces. And let's start our 2-month journey covering the NBA playoffs. So we got our crew as per usual. Alex Renelio's here. What's up, Alex?
What's going on, Matt? Happy to be back, seeing the crew.
Definitely. Bars the God making his big return. What's up, Bars?
Well, I'm back, baby. You know, had to take a break for a while, but I'm here. Let's get it.
Let's get it indeed. Host of Fresh Faces New Ideas, David Bach is joining us today. What's up?
It's good. I'm glad you had a nice little intro for me, even without being trying. You know, you had your new faces, your old faces, your fresh faces.
Hey, there it is.
Nothing but. And we have a new friend joining us today from Independent Thought. We have Desmond Price with us. Desmond, thank you for joining us. How you doing?
Hey man, I appreciate y'all having me here. I'm ready. Let's do it.
Let's do it indeed. So before we actually get into the matchups, let's just talk about the interesting teams who are not in the postseason this year. We'll start with my New York Knicks, even as a venting, biased fan. After a 4 seed last year in the East, we completely fall flat on our face. Only win it going 38 and 43 off the top of my head, just around there. But we definitely lost expectations. Had a great win against the Celtics at the first game of the year, bing bong, all that. Then we just collapsed. Julius Randle literally turned into a mortal enemy, from giving thumbs down to the fans, not trying, preventing Obi Toppin to get some minutes. We just saw team chemistry go all over the place. And yeah, we're back where we are supposed to be, in the lottery once again. So
you're a lottery team. What pick do you have? Where are you projected?
They don't do that till June though.
yeah, they don't
but
do
like they have
do-
projections because like the Spurs are projected at 9.
I haven't seen the projection yet, but we're likely back in it from how things escalated. But just a couple minutes on the Knicks. Bottom line, I want to throw it out there that the number one priority, even if it's possible, because I don't think anybody really wants to inherit another issue or just take on our issues, is getting Julius Randle out of New York. Having said that, do you guys think that is the is that going to be the move to change everything once and for all? Where this could be now RJ's team officially, with Obi Toppin and IQ, Emmanuel Quickly, maybe starting I'm not going to say a big three, but at least some type of core with players like Quentin Grimes. And if we want to re-sign Mitch, even despite his injury problems, do you guys agree with me that Julius Randle, if he's out, that things can go in the right direction, or do you have another perspective?
Let's get the elephant out the room real quick. Did y'all as New York Knicks fans ever think Julius Randle was your savior? Like, was that?
Yes,
like,
they did. They did. He got MVP chance.
Yeah, a year ago, absolutely. We thought maybe he could have been a guy.
Can we again prove that I'm right about everything? Because I told you this last year that your team was overachieving and that Julius Randle was bullshit. That like he shot so outside of all of his statistics, and like for the entire season your defense was nonsense, that like open threes from the other team was shooting like 10% better or worse for like no apparent reason for the entirety of the season. Like every major statistic that proved that the Knicks were good was all like, every person who looked at it was like, that makes no sense. Like Julius Randle could not have gotten a more contract to. Although I hope, Alex, you're ready for this, because he's going to LA next year if they trade him. They're trading him for Westbrook.
We already did this.
No, they're not going to do that.
That's the only trade.
They won't.
It literally is the only trade. And I don't know. To answer your question, Baki, we're right the whole time. And whether that was just being a naive Knicks fan who, like I said, the very first game of the year, Bing Bong was a thing for a solid week. And then we just went back to reality. It's really fascinating. I mean, people... It's like, did Julius Randle, was he good when there was no crowds? Like, that was the big difference. That this Knicks team was so good when they weren't playing in front of anybody.
I mean, I didn't want to bring up the bubble.
Well, yeah, the bubble, like, in lack of crowds, like, that was the last time Anthony Davis shot above, like, 30% from, like, outside of the paint. So it's not like it's not an unreasonable thing. But, like, the other thing is, I mean, RJ was really good this year, especially after the All-Star break. So, like if somebody asked them at the beginning of the season if they offered Zion straight up for RJ, like the Pelicans say no. But if they ask if the Pelicans call the Knicks and they say we'll give you Zion for RJ, I'm pretty sure the Knicks hang up because they think they're going to get Zion anyway.
Yeah, I think RJ is clearly our guy, drafted number 3. He's really coming into his own, and I hope we see him in the All-Star game next year if he really has that much potential, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
You know what the real problem with Julius Randle is, though, before we transition?
Yeah.
Real problem with Julius Randle is that once everyone figured out that he couldn't go to his left, like it was basically a wrap after that, because every team had that scouting report. They all did that, and then his numbers just tanked after that. And he just kept settling for jump shots. He stopped even trying to get into the paint, really. So, I mean, he kind of gave up on his own game as far as I'm concerned.
And the worst part, too, is not that, and also the bad attitude. Alex Ranelli, what do you say? I saw you had your hand up.
I was just going to leapfrog off of what Desmond said. I think psychologically, I think what happened in that locker room internally, too, is once he got his payday, there was a higher set of expectations that he wasn't ready to meet yet. And I think the dynamic, what made New York so special, when they went into the playoffs a couple of years ago, is that they were playing on zero expectations and they were exceeding those expectations. So they were playing out of their minds. Everybody was evenly distributing the ball. Everybody had their role. And once you kind of assert a guy to that next tier, there's going to be kind of this shift in dynamic with the power relationship in that locker room. And I don't think he was ready for that mantle. I think that he's the best way I could describe it for your Knicks and their circumstances. I think he's probably the most focal problem, but he's not the only problem. I would say he's the first problem. Mm-hmm. So once you get rid of him and clear him off the deck, I think there's a lot more distribution you can do with a lot of pieces there.
Yeah, what do you think are some of those other issues?
The other issues is you don't get to play the Celtics 82 games where Evan Fournier has averaged like 36.5 points a game or whatever stupid ass number he averaged against them for no apparent reason.
And then washed up Kemba Walker on top of that he got taken out of the rotation by January.
Was he playing for you guys?
He was, but he got injured right during the holidays, and he was.
Let's factor that in too, because I believe that a Derrick Rose-less Knicks is definitely going to end up with the record it's going to have. You got to look at overall the production that Rose is going to bring to you as a player. You know what I'm saying? He's going to spread the floor. He's a much better shooter now in his later years than he was in the beginning of his game. So now he's definitely stretching the floor. Penetration, he's going to give you that. And you don't have Julius Randle facilitating the ball.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's a lack of team chemistry on that team. Like, it just seemed like they didn't really have a flow to their offense. They were playing too much ISO ball with Randle at the top.
They don't have a point guard. They don't have like a distributing point guard. And maybe you could do that with RJ, but the problem with that is you have to, get the paint uncluttered because he's still not that great a shooter, but you don't have the shooting. It's all theoretical shooting. Like Quentin Grimes is okay. Fournier is good for like 10 minutes every so often. Mitchell Robinson has no range. I think Obi Toppin may have some range hypothetically, or at least that was the theory when they drafted him. But like they have no shooting. They're in similar positions to a whole lot of other teams. Like realistically, you gotta flip. You need, like, if you're gonna have a paint bound guy like Mitchell Robinson, you need like the stretch four. You need like a Porzingis or a Brook Lopez type who can step out and shoot the three.
And no stars want to go to New York right now. I mean, not to the Knicks
Donovan
anyway.
Mitchell would go back. Donovan Mitchell and Zion would go. I think because Donovan Mitchell's from New York. He's from Westchester. So like
probably you don't want him.
I'm watching Donovan Mitchell. I think he wants to play with somebody after all these years of kind of like leading the Jazz by himself. I don't think he wants to go to another team to be their savior. I think he wants to go be with a crew.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I can see Donovan Mitchell actually going to Dallas.
Oh, that is a fire team.
I just want Dallas to be good just because I want to see Luka just like with another player.
I imagine Luka and Donovan Mitchell together. That'd be that's your backcourt right there.
They're not. Luka's pretty ball dominant, and Donovan can be ball dominant, but he can score off the ball.
Exactly, he can score off the ball.
That would be a good trade. The problem is the Dallas has nothing to offer. They don't have anything to give them. That's why the Porzingis trade was surprising. Like that was their best piece. Yeah. Their other best piece is what? It's Jalen Brunson. I still love Josh Green, but you're not trading Donovan Mitchell for Josh Green.
True. I just don't see Utah ever trying to like actually put a team around anybody. Like, ever since like Stockton and Malone left, they're going to trade. They haven't been putting like good teams together out there.
That is going to be interesting.
Well established.
Yeah, that's we could talk about that in the Utah section.
Exactly. So we'll save that for then. Just the final part of the Knicks that we'll talk some Lakers is, as Desmond pointed out, no one wants to come here. It's literally been a decade and a half of us thinking the free agent's going to come. It's not going to happen. So we need a draft. We need to draft well. And again, somehow, some way, if we can get rid of Julius Randle and have Obi develop even more of another year, who knows what can happen. So transitioning into that, Los Angeles Lakers, probably the nation's most interesting loser out.
Oh my God.
From a team everyone was so excited for, when you had all these veteran players like Carmelo Anthony, Russell Westbrook, LeBron, AD, it ultimately leads to one of their most underperforming seasons ever. Let's look at the final records. 33-49.
Brutal.
How about that? Let's talk to the Laker fan. You're here not talking about the Lakers in the playoffs with all those expectations. Sure, there were some injuries along the way, and then people just trolling Russ once again. But let's hear from your perspective. How mad are you there's no Lakers playing in the postseason?
I'm not mad only because I'm a purist about the sport. Like, I'm still going to watch regardless. I have individual players I root for that I love. But, yeah, no, I would be lying if it ticked me off that they're not in the playoffs. I had a little higher hopes, even though I knew it wasn't going to be a seamless transition bringing Russ into the locker room. Everybody kind of knew he was going to detonate things, but I didn't think it was going to come that quickly. And they didn't make enough moves. They didn't have enough opportunities at the trade deadline to move any assets because everybody was either locked in or traded elsewhere in the offseason prior. So it was pretty well defined pretty early on. Now, I think that it's basically like '04 Lakers light, like the light beer version of that, because you got a lot of old guys with limited, limited capabilities at their older age and their 15th, 16th year, like Melo and Dwight, and bringing all those guys back. But yeah, it basically just felt kind of like an it felt like a slow, deadly drag to the finish line, but in the form of watching the '04 Lakers, except I didn't get to watch any of the pleasure in the postseason. So
they at least made a finals, that team.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know it definitely sucked watching it, and they're just gonna have to clear the deck. I will say before we move on, I'm not gonna fully give up on the premise that AD and LeBron, their window is closed on winning a championship. I still think that they could be a two-piece foundation to win a title for at least another year, but it's got to happen now, and they have to figure out how they're going to get rid of Russ's contract.
Yeah, I got so many thoughts on the Lakers. I'm having to keep it all to myself the whole year. I got so many thoughts.
Wait, can I just say something real quick?
Yeah.
So when we're talking about disappointing, statistically, this Lakers team has underachieved worse than any other team in history since the 2012 Lakers when they had Steve Nash and Dwight Howard. Oh. That's how bad this team is. Like, it is. Like, I thought they'd be better. I thought Russ would seamlessly be better. And I think, like, the people like, oh, AD was gone. The Pelicans lost their best player for the entirety of the season, started like 1-20. Like, teams were like, the Wolves were like, fuck, I can't believe we lost to them. Like, we have to be more serious. And they made the fucking playoffs.
Well, I mean, the Pelicans just got their best player, for being fair. CJ McCollum. You see him last night?
Yeah. The other thing is the Lakers they don't have anywhere to go.
CJ was carrying the Trailblazers when Dame was done.
Yep. It's true. Man, I gotta tell you, you're a Lakers fan, Alex?
Yep.
Man, it is tough times right now. I mean, Matt asked at the top. He asked at the top, how do you feel about the Lakers not being in the playoffs? You should have been like, that's usual. I mean, they've been in the playoffs like what, 2 or 3 times the last 13 years.
But they won the last time they were there.
Yeah, it's the one thing.
Right, but how many years have they missed the playoffs in the last decade?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was pretty consistent. Where the Clippers have gone 9 times in a row, something like that. I mean, right. I don't know. The Lakers roster construction was just absolute garbage. I mean, Rob Pelinka, he should have lost his job, not Frank Vogel. I mean, they put all these old dudes on the team who have no athleticism anymore. Like, you don't even need to hear somebody else say that. You can see it when you watch the game. I mean, watching them play defense, no one was closing out. People weren't switching. Oh. They weren't even trying to guard people. They were like, yeah, let them shoot. I ain't running over there. I mean, it was sad, bro. It was real pathetic. Yeah. It was like dudes who just cashed in their checks and they were like, yeah, I'm good. I ain't playing tonight.
The amount of 20-point leads and the amount of leads these guys blew this year, was unacceptable. That's unacceptable.
Hold on, Mr. Utah fan, you should be wary about saying how many 20-point leads your team blew.
Oh, hey, the bubble was a while ago. That 3-1 lead was a while ago.
But that's the natural recipe. When you turn the ball over, you don't make free throws, you don't stop people in transition and play defense. These are a lot of foreseen issues that we could have seen coming, but when in the previous preseason. But the issue is, I think we didn't see how bad Russell was going to come crashing to a halt as soon as it did.
Right. What do you do with it?
Yeah, I mean, if you had put the Lakers roster together in 2016, that's like a 2K roster you put together. Yeah. But the 2022 version, no.
No, hell no. No. And the roles were clearly defined. You knew that Melo wasn't going to play defense. You knew that Dwight was limited. You knew all these guys had their roles clearly carved out. But you got rid of the glue guys. Caruso was gone. Montrez was gone. All the guys that did all the hard fighting and scrapping, they shipped out. And I don't put all the blame at the feet of Rob Pelinka. I put a lot of it at LeBron. And it's not a cop-out to say. It's because when he came in, there was clearly a regime change, and there was a lot of changes in the front office made at his last word. It wasn't Pelinka's word. Pelinka, by trade, he's a player's agent. So he's going to listen to the players at all costs in order to see what's best served for the team. And I don't think that Genie still has the instincts and the basketball IQ and personnel run and organize things, which is why she was able to seamlessly kind of hand the keys off to LeBron the past few years.
Let me ask you one question though before we go on. Did you hear what Magic said like about a week or so ago when he was asked about the roster construction?
Yeah, he's just piling on though because he couldn't do it either.
Right. How do you feel knowing that you could have had Buddy Hield and DeMar DeRozan instead of Russell Westbrook?
I know.
Yep. I mean, look, you should have had Buddy. I mean, that's on LeBron is that they didn't get Buddy. But like he wasn't getting they weren't getting DeRozan. They
weren't.
Signed DeRozan.
Apparently, they said they could have had him.
No, they didn't have they were not. They got a sign and trade for him. They did not have DeRozan because you can't get Buddy and DeRozan because they got DeRozan in a sign and trade. And after you traded for Buddy, what are you giving the Spurs that the Spurs are going to give you to do the sign and trade with DeRozan? And they don't have the cap space to sign DeRozan. They signed DeRozan for like 4 for 83. I think the Lakers could offer him like 10 a year or something. They could offer him nothing. You couldn't have had both. The problem is LeBron chose to get Russell instead of somebody like Buddy and whatever the other pieces were. It was like Buddy and like Harrison Barnes or something. It was like complementary pieces.
I mean, they were younger at the very least.
My last question regarding the Lakers before we move to the Spurs is, does this officially put a cap on LeBron versus MJ GOAT debate once and for all? If LeBron couldn't do it again this year, are we officially done? Is it, obviously the best of his generation, but not the best of all time?
I mean, that conversation was closed for me about 10 years ago, but I'll leave it to you guys.
Yeah, that conversation's been closed for me. I mean, LeBron will be on like the top 10 NBA's best of all time, but he won't, being the best, LeBron has given up on too many teams to be the best. He doesn't have that like killer mentality. Like, when times get tough, he kind of just like packs it in sometimes. I mean, he doesn't have that same killer instinct. I mean, you can't be going, what was it, like 3 and 6 in the 4 and 6 in the finals? I mean, yeah, you made it to 10, but you lost 6 times. I mean,
okay, but like to be fair, like 3 of those were against like historically good teams with teams he dragged to the finals on like nonsense. So like nobody was beating those. Like there was one team beating those KD Warriors, and Zaza stopped that. So
true, but he also lost to the Warriors when he had a better team, and he lost to the Spurs. I mean, the Spurs in 2014, they blitzed
no,
him.
that Spurs team was going to beat everybody.
That
Spurs team was
both of those Spurs teams.
Nah, but hey, you got Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh on your team, and you lose the old ass Spurs in 2014 when they're all like a year away from retiring. That's on you. That's on you. You can't be the greatest of all time and lose that series.
I refuse to say that Cavaliers that Cavaliers team was better than that Golden State Warriors team. I refuse to say that. And I also refuse to not acknowledge that Spurs team. That Spurs team was
that 2014 is the beautiful game team. That's like the best team. That was the team that like basketball was built on.
Ginobili. And I'm pretty sure Kawhi was on that team.
Kawhi was on that team. Yeah, that was right before Kawhi took off. That was like when Kawhi realized.
You know what? You got to beat the great teams if you want to be considered the great. I mean, I'm just.
I know, but that's the 2014 series is the LeBron phase series where he sees Kawhi check and he's like, "Fuck." That's that series.
that's Dunk's last chip. That's Tim Duncan's last chip.
And they lost to the Mavericks too in 2010.
Yeah, that one's unacceptable.
That Mavericks team was
that one's unacceptable. You can't defend that one.
Dirk had to get that. And it was like the beginning of that big 3. They were fresh. They were new.
Right. No, we could all make excuses for him, but I'm saying like you can't be the best.
You could argue you could take value off of the championship they won against the Thunder when it was their first time as the big 3 too.
Facts.
They were all. I mean, they were like
both ways. My thing.
That big three did nothing. They were abysmal after that.
I think every team that Jordan's Bulls beat were all-time teams too.
They got
Jazz teams stuck into the title into the finals.
They got MVP level talent out of the 3 of them. That's why they split up afterward. But the reason I knock LeBron more than other people do is more because of the regime change that he takes with himself every city he goes. So he leaves teams in shambles because he puts guys on inconceivable contracts for players that are limited, who are aging, who are old players. So they have about a 2-3 year window to win. but then they go to shit as soon as he leaves. So I put that just as much on him as he does going to the highest level and not winning at the highest level as well.
So what do you think is more likely? LeBron basically leaves for whoever drafts his kid, or he which could be in like 3 years,
right?
Or he leaves in the next offseason to go to like Cleveland.
I think he still has 2 more years on that deal.
No, I think he's a play. He can either extend, I think, this year, or he's like a free agent after this year.
I think with his influence, LeBron's gonna just play for whoever Bronny is gonna play for, whether it's the Lakers or the Raptors or the T-Wolves.
Honestly, legit, if his last season's in Memphis, I think that's going to be like the funniest thing I've ever seen, because
God.
Memphis, where'd that come from? You mean Cleveland, right?
Like that was the team when the Cavs won the pick for LeBron. It was a coin flip between them and Memphis. So he could have started his career in Memphis, and they would have lost that pick entirely. So I just think it would be karmic if he ended up in Memphis and his career. I just think it would be the funniest thing ever.
Talk about
if LeBron would have started his career in Memphis,
he would have forced a trade immediately. But like, but that would have just been like the type of shit that would have been funny.
Oh my, Bach!
Oh my God!
Your San Antonio Spurs played in the play-in. They lost by 10 to the Pelicans, but hey, they still made it, even with the sarcastic comments from Coach Pop after the game. They're still here. How excited are you? Do you like the future now, where it's going?
I am happy as fuck. All right, so let's talk about this. First, I'm a little upset at the fact that we were projected at the 9th pick. Because when we did the earlier, we were like top 6. However, I'm happy we lost that game. So let's put some statistics. DeJounte Murray is a monster. He's the first player in NBA history averaged 28, 9, and 2. He is the we had Keldon Johnson was like the number 1 3-point shooter from the corner for like the entire season. Devin Vassal's pretty good. I'm still mad about the Josh Primo pick. I just am. We could flip Josh Richardson to somebody. We got the Celtics 2028 pick. I wish we'd done more with what's his face, Thad Young. But look, we have more defined roles. My hope and fear is we move up. My fear is we move up to 3 or 4, because I don't want Chet. I feel like if we end up in the top 3, if we end up in 3, we're going to end up with Chet, and I don't want Chet. If we end up at 4, I feel like we're going to end up with Ivy, and I don't want Ivy. I want either Paolo or Jabari or AJ Griffin. We need a wing or we need a power forward. But like, we're good. This is where the team is. Like, we decluttered, because look, Derek was really good for like 2.5 seasons. He had the Nuggets series where he was really good, and he posterized Paul Millsap, and then he developed the Danny Green syndrome, where like every other year he forgot how to shoot. But like, look, this is DeJounte's team. The kid is like incredible. Devin and Keldon are going to be good. Jakob Poeltl is premierly underrated. I'm happy as hell, because so in this going into this draft we have 9. We have like 21. We have somewhere between 21 and 23, and somewhere between 22 and 27 in the draft. So we can end up with 9, 21, and 22. You can make trades with that. You don't need all these players. All these young guys you can trade for something. Maybe another shooter, maybe like a power forward. Maybe we can get Miles Turner. Maybe we. I would be happy with Miles Turner. We need that. We need some shooting. We need a wing, and we need some shooting, because Keldon's just too small. But no, we had a good season. That's just really what it is.
Y'all be contending again.
Who?
If y'all got Miles Turner, y'all be contending again.
Oh yeah, no, we're like right there. Our defense is so disgusting. Like it's great. I'm so happy with this team. This was such a better season. Like the young guys got so much better, and I think we got Pop. I think Pop is coming back for one more ride, and then he's done.
But that's another reason why it's like, just touching back on it real quick. How long has it been since LeBron left Cleveland? What, like 3 years?
Yeah.
And they're already sniffing playoffs. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta look at it. The turnaround isn't too bad. You do get a bunch of like old dudes, but then like after like bad years, you get a nice pick. You get a bunch of picks. Like you get set up in the lottery. Boom. You might get a player here. it sucks to not contend for a while, but it's not too bad. You get these great players out of it, and you can develop the young guys.
There's no downside to the Spurs season. There just isn't.
You know, I didn't catch a single Spurs game all season until just last night. So I'm just keeping it. You know,
I didn't really watch that many either. I saw them. I saw them last year. I saw them on opening night play the Knicks, and that was the first game DeJounte played because he was out. He missed it the season before, and I was like, this kid's gonna be an all-star.
Yeah,
and he was an all-star the next year. I mean, look, it is. He still can't really shoot, but you know, he's wiry and he's a clamps defender. You know what we could use? We could use Donovan Mitchell. I think that would be a good
team. Donovan Mitchell.
I don't know how we'd get him.
Any team Donnie goes to is going to be increased at least tenfold. Guarantee that.
Why, he's like legitimately terrible in the clutch, though. Like he's
I don't know.
He don't need to be the number one option. He can go somewhere and be the two. That's what I'm saying to him and Luka. But I'm gonna say that one.
Can play defense.
Exactly.
But no, like we're like a piece away. This is like really the most frustrating thing because like since Kawhi left, we're missing that one wing guy that we need, and we have like the perfect team for like Kawhi to come home to, or like a guy to come home
back to the
like,
Spurs, bro.
He's never coming back. But like
he ain't going back.
If like Towns wanted to leave, we have like the team for that one wing guy who just like wants to go away and wants to like go to a built team. It's the Spurs. We're a superstar away from just destroying everybody. I don't know where that superstar is, but like we're there.
Well, either or, it's going to be definitely a lot of fun to see what your Spurs do. And with that, let's talk about the postseason and let's focus on each of the matchups coming into it and where we see it going. And then we'll make some future picks after that. So first things first, we have the Brooklyn Nets who won their playing game against Cleveland. They're going to go and take on the Boston Celtics, arguably the hottest team, if not in the NBA, definitely in the East. So you have KD and Kyrie. You have Ben Simmons, maybe. We don't know what his status is.
Game 2, they said he might come back.
Might come back.
Game 2. Yeah, I saw that
Game
today.
2. So having said that, and that's probably the ultimate factor against this Celtics team who just went off in the second half of the year, where do we see this going? Wouldn't it be something if we see this Brooklyn Nets team that has been so overly examined and the talk of the town, and they could be out in the first round because they're playing such a tough opponent? Talk to me, guys. How do we feel about this matchup? Where we think this is going?
This is the best first round series. This is the best first round.
I feel that the Celtics are going to win this.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they're going to take it. Yeah. Like KD can't do it by himself, and like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, they're just going to run. Is Robert Williams back?
I think he's expected back. The way they played kind of hints that he might come back.
They said he wouldn't come back before like the end of the month. So I mean, they said like best case scenario is like a game 6 or game 7 if it was still in the first round, but probably round 2.
Okay, but like to be fair, last time they played them, it was Jason Tatum and like 4 people off the street. So this is not like this is a much better team. Like Jalen's in, Marcus Smart has decided to figure out how to play a point guard. Like their bigs aren't terrible. Like they have bodies to throw at like KD and stuff. And and like if you look at the way that they played against what was it, the Hawks that they played, or Cleveland? Like
Cleveland.
That still was a closer game, even though KD and Kyrie shot like 60% from the field together. Like Steph Curry was scoreless.
Celtics still have the best point differential.
Yeah, but look, a lot of it is their defense is gonna depend on Robert Williams and how much like they can hold their big guys. But look, this Brooklyn team, I don't know what, like we got 16 games total between like the 3 of them, and this is like one of the weirdest team builds ever. And I don't think they're gonna win this year, but I think with Ben Simmons next year, I think KD's gonna just tear that team up. Like,
are we doing like official picks at the end of each one of these?
We're just gonna pick who do you think will go to the East, who will go to the West, and who will win the championship.
Oh, but I thought we were gonna pick the winner of each series. Okay.
Well, yeah. In general, yes, you could definitely make your pick. Who do you think would win this series?
I got Brooklyn going 4-1 in this series.
Wow,
really? That's different than some of the other perspectives. Tell us about this.
I I think what you're going to see happen is that this is basically, for the most part, from what I can tell, this is a story of 2-on-2. You got KD and Kyrie Irving and Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Who do you trust more in the packed playoff, atmosphere? Because the one thing that always to keep in mind is that if you watch the NBA, everyone knows every single year that the NBA stars do not take the NBA regular season as seriously as they do in the playoffs. Everything is ratcheted up. What you'll also notice is that the NBA officiating changes in the playoffs. They actively call less fouls, which means that if you are a player who relies on getting that contact, then you are going to be upset, which is why James Harden always seems to can't figure out how to adjust his game come playoff time. I think that KD, Kyrie Irving, they've already won the chip. KD twice. I mean, they've been to the finals multiple times, each of them. They know how to handle these situations. Boston, while Tatum and Brown have been there before, they're not used to really being great in these situations. I don't think that they are. And I
don't have a good track record.
I think that when it comes down to it, in these tight games where it's like a 5-point game in the fourth quarter, I trust that KD and Kyrie will show up and that Tatum and Brown will kind of shrink a little bit. And I know that the team around Boston is better than the team around the Nets, but I think it'll end up not being a factor at the end of the day.
I trusted KD last year too when his foot was on the line. You know what I'm saying?
That's a big ass foot,
one
though.
player. Who was the second best player on that team after Harden? It was like the ghost of Bruce Brown.
Yeah.
I mean,
Brooklyn was trying to throw the game.
KD basically by himself with a hurt James Harden almost beat the champion Bucks team. I mean, they came down to 1 inch.
Who are the third and fourth best players on that Celtics team?
But that Celtics team is different than the Bucks team.
White?
No, I think this will probably be 6.
They got Nick Stauskas too. I didn't realize they had Nick Stauskas on the Celtics.
And
Stauskas is okay, but when was the last time Sauce Castillo played a meaningful basketball minute? There was almost 0% chance that Nick Stauskas sees the floor unless it's a blowout.
I'm just saying Kyrie Irving's ability to kind of cut into the lane and basically make the whole defense collapse around him, and now they have Patty Mills shooting lights out and Seth Curry shooting lights out. I mean, I think their perimeter game is just on point.
I might have to switch up now. After looking at the rosters, I kind of might have to.
And if Ben Simmons gives any quality minutes, he's a defensive nightmare. So if Tatum and Brown want to get into the lane, he's a 6'10" dude who's rangy, and if he does anything, he does play defense.
That's assuming you get anything. There's no way. That's why I think it's more next year that they're going to be more of an issue. I agree with you that if it comes down to trading buckets in the last 5 minutes, the Nets are going to win because KD is just ridiculous. It doesn't
one of the
matter.
Best ever.
His numbers are just so stupid. But I think them having a weaker supporting cast is going to hurt them.
I'm looking at this lineup right now, and I think the Celtics have a weaker supporting cast. To be honest, let's put it this way. If you're doing a draft of players after KD and Kyrie, what number do you think the next? And we're assuming Ben Simmons is out because we have seen nothing from him this year to prove otherwise.
And it'd be a lot to ask for him to just go off after.
Right. So after KD and Kyrie, if you're drafting from both teams, when is the third net taken off the board? So you're going KD, Kyrie, Jaylen, Jason, Derek White.
I'm taking Seth Curry over everyone else, especially after I saw the way he played for the Sixers last year when he was on our team, basically holding it down as the number 2 person with Joel Embiid. I mean, he damn near saved us so many games last year. Seth Curry is so underrated. I mean, he is a big deal on that Nets team. You got to watch out for him making buckets in the clutch in the playoffs. I'm telling you, 4-1 Brooklyn.
0 points in the last game. 0.
And then,
just watch.
And then
I'm saying now.
If Robert Williams come back, you got Robert Williams, and then I'm going over there and I'm either taking Joe Harris or
Joe Harris is out the whole season.
Joe Harris out the whole season.
Also, it's not like Joe Harris doesn't have a history of sucking in the playoffs.
You only need to make 1 shot or 2 shots on this team. KD and Kyrie are taking a bulk of the shots anyway.
I think that the supporting cast outside of the top 2 guys on the Nets have a better chance at sparking instantly before the other guys on Boston's roster do. Because I agree with you guys, especially especially you, Desmond, like it's going to be 2-on-2. They're going to kind of be a moot point. It's going to matter on, who comes up with that extra 15 points. Is it going to be Bruce Brown, or is it going to be Claxton, or is it going to be Marcus Smart going off or something crazy? I think that
White.
And Derek White. And I think that it's going to change a lot when Robert Williams comes back and Ben Simmons, because they're both defensive enforcers that are going to kind of change the playing field defensively.
Yeah. Is Blake Griffin playing?
Is Blake Griffin still on that team?
He's on the bench.
Yeah,
he's handing out
Gatorades
and
he
stuff
gets
like
no
that,
minutes anymore. He doesn't
gets
get
no
minutes
in the rotation because Claxton's been playing like his freaking heart out.
Yeah, he's been a huge factor.
Oh, they have Marcus Aldridge too.
He's a huge factor giving out handshakes and stuff like that on the sideline.
Don't ever mention Bummond again. Don't ever mention Big Penguin Bummond. Don't do it.
I don't know. I still think the Nets are going to win, but I don't think it's going to be 4-1.
I think it's going to be 4-2. I changed mine to 4-2. Like Nets. I was going to go with the Celtics, probably taking it to a game 7, but after looking at these rosters, comparing them, and to credit Desmond on this, like that supporting cast, I don't think they could hold out. I will give the Boston 2 games, though. That's what I would do. I'll give Boston 2 games.
Yeah, they took one
that
game
Boston
off
home
the
court
big
advantage
three.
is real. I mean, everyone knows that.
They took one game off of the big 3 with Jason Tatum and 4 people off the street. So this is a better team, you have to assume, versus look, I would say this Nets team is nowhere near as good as last year. And so look at them. They had to play the playing game. They really that's also because KD missed like 2 months and then Kyrie took half the season off. So they played on their team was KD for half the season and Fat James Harden.
Yes.
So
yes.
I'm gonna be the lone guy to take Boston in this series. I'm gonna take him in 7, and it's because I think that the unity, the cohesion of that team. I mean, it's gonna depend on whether I go 6 or instead of 7. I want to see when Robert Williams comes back because he's really their enforcer. But
he's their fruit.
Yeah, well, and he's going to change the complexion of that team, defensively too. But I just think that they have more cohesion offensively, and it's all about who's hot at the right time of the year. And I think that Brooklyn, they had to play in the play-in. They looked pretty good against Cleveland, but Cleveland is unexperienced. I think Boston's ready for this.
Yo, Matt, who you got in this?
So I'm also going with the Celtics, and I honestly think because they have a better cohesion together, they have been, for the team that has been staying together and have been, running throughout the second half of the year. Plus, I think that they are due for some luck with so many disappointing exits in the playoffs, whether in the bubble or the last year. I think that this would be the time that they can, get over the hump, and it would be a big deal to knock out the Nets early. So I say I'm also going to say it's a 7-game series going to Boston, and I hate Boston sports with a huge passion, but I'm going to put my professional hat with this series.
Oh, I also do have to say the Ringer does have Boston as the number 1 team to host the trophy for, which I still don't understand because the answer is still Phoenix is the best team in the league.
Bill Simmons bias?
It's all about point differentials. When you read that article,
I think it's Zach Cram wrote the article. It's all
okay.
It's all data stuff.
But it's a computer. It's a computer putting in numbers and then making an estimation best off of that. Like a computer can't quantify probabilities. Like, you know what I'm saying? They can't.
Yeah, there's things like that. That's just a statistical guessing.
Hey, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And the most important point with this series, especially, is you said it best, Bach. This is the best matchup between all the matchups we're about to discuss. This is no doubt the most entertaining coming into this. So it's going to be a good time either way. And
this is crucial. It's either KD gets knocked out, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown move up the echelon, prove themselves. Like this is their chance to slay one of the greats. You know what I'm saying? And move up and play off in the playoff podium at the same time, establishing themselves. So it's like, let's do it. Like, come on,
what we got next?
Let's do it indeed. So next matchup I want to talk about: Golden State Warriors going up against the Denver Nuggets. Golden State back in the playoffs for real this time, but to fall short in last year's play-in. But this team, even with Klay Thompson not being the old Klay Thompson we expect, this team had quite a regular season this year. Steph Curry, I know, understand some of the hesitations with him because of some injuries this season, but I think it's a really interesting bunch coming into it there. And I'm going to go early in saying I think they can knock off the Nuggets in 5 and go on with that. So how do we feel about the return of the Warriors in the postseason? Do we think the Nuggets, who we were very, very high on last season, obviously huge Jamal Murray injury hindered that, but they are back in the playoffs regardless? What do we think about this matchup going into it?
Where is Jamal Murray currently?
He's not playing. He and Carter Porter and Michael Porter aren't playing.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be a major factor.
I think because is Steph playing? Do we know when Steph's coming back?
They said that he's practicing, but they haven't said anything as far as like expectations.
He doesn't play. I think this is a series he could probably miss 1 or 2 games, and they'll probably just win in 5. Like, they don't have an answer for Jokic because nobody has an answer for Jokic because he's the MVP, and he was the MVP last year, and all of his statistical numbers are just like stupid. Like the idea, like I'm just gonna go off of this because I love how insane the numbers are for this season. Jokic led for like every statistical measure for like wins for like everything. When the season ended, both him and Giannis set the all-time record for player efficiency rating. The dude like is unbelievably good. He should still win MVP. The reason they're a 6th seed is because he basically played with like who's the 3rd best player on that team? Is it Will Barton or Aaron Gordon?
The walk.
Will Barton still playing?
Yes. Like it's Bones. Is it Bones?
I think it's Aaron Gordon. Who with this subpar
they're gonna lose.
I'm so far.
Yeah, they're gonna lose. This is not a series that's worth monitoring other than for when Jokic goes off for like 50 and 22 and they win that one game.
The Nuggets have become the old Grizzlies. You know, that quiet perennial playoff team. They're always fucking there, but they never do anything. That's no. I would have them as the 2nd best team in the West if they were healthy. Yeah, if they had Jamal Murray, if they had Michael Porter. They're not healthy. They're not healthy, so it doesn't matter. This is a lost season, just like last year was a lost season when Jamal Murray went down. They still have the MVP, so it is what it is.
I'm still thinking on this one. Alex, do you want to go next?
Not good enough.
I'm gonna wait. I mean,
all right, I'll go.
I feel who mentioned basically like Memphis of years ago.
That was me.
Yeah, no, exactly how I feel. That's how I feel about Denver without Jamal Murray or Michael Porter, especially. Like, they just don't have enough firepower. Like, Golden State's too dynamic. They have too good of spacing, and if they shut down or get Jokic in any kind of foul trouble, even though he's so dominant, they're one dimensional. They're gonna wrap up.
You know what teams I'm talking about? The Marcus Gasol teams.
Oh yeah, those were good Memphis teams.
Yeah, those were good Memphis,
but they never won anything.
No, they didn't.
They're perennially.
I love those,
with like Zach Randolph like that.
Yeah, Zebo. And I love those Memphis teams. But yeah, no, I mean like they have a recipe and Jokic. Like I just feel that they're going to be able to pick Denver apart and make them one dimensional like early on in the series. I think that they have the recipe to beat them in 5.
And even if they don't have Steph, have we all just like taken a blind eye and forgotten who the fuck Klay Thompson is? Like what are we doing? Like Klay is like
no. This is a series that's pretty much like Denver was basically always a first round out because they didn't have the fire. They don't have the firepower to keep up with. Like the only team that they would be like really competitive with is basically Utah.
You know, I'm going to disagree with y'all.
We want to talk about supporting cast. Andrew Wiggins is playing phenomenal.
You still have Draymond Green. Jordan Poole might win Most Improved Player of the Year.
Jordan Poole's great.
Gary Payton Jr.
is also great.
Don't forget about him. Like,
yeah, no, I'm not. I don't expect the Nuggets to win, but I don't expect like it could be the blowout. It all depends on when Steph comes back. I think changes the whole thing.
You know, yeah. I'm only going to disagree a little bit with y'all. I think that Denver is going to win at least 2 games in this series. I actually wouldn't be surprised if it goes 7. Here's the reason why. I think that this Denver team, while they're not good, they're not great, they are scrappy. I mean, and we've seen they had basically the exact same roster last year, and this team went. Did they go to the conference final last year against the Suns?
They went to the semis. They lost
the second round to the Suns.
They lost to Phoenix because the Jamal Murray got hurt against Portland.
Yeah, this is actually a pretty decent team. And what I said earlier about like stars not taking the regular season like seriously, there's only a couple teams that don't fall into that category, and Golden State is in that category. They take the regular season seriously. Like they play hot every single game, no matter what. And the Warriors have been inconsistent, like the last like few months. And obviously they've had their injury issues. Klay's coming back. Steph's been out. Draymond's been out. But Klay still isn't quite himself. Draymond's still a little hobbled up, and we don't know how Steph's going to come back from this. I think that there's enough room in there for the Nuggets to squeeze in at least 2 games. I'm calling Warriors in 6.
Is Wiseman playing?
No, he's out for the year.
Oh, and the Warriors' big three only played 18 minutes together this season.
Yeah, so I'm thinking a little lack of consistency for the Warriors might give the Nuggets enough room to at least get 2 in, especially one in Denver where it's just hard to play there.
They'll probably win Game 3 in Denver.
They got Bjelica.
I mean, he wasn't. Look, the question is the next round and what Steph looks like back when he's healthy, because he broke the record, then he played like shit the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Although like even Steph Curry playing like shit is still like better than like 98% of all NBA players.
Facts.
Warriors in 6.
Warriors in 6. Okay. Well, guys, this is the team I'm most excited to talk about. We have the Memphis Grizzlies versus the Minnesota Timberwolves. Awesome playing game. T-Wolves knocking out the Clippers. Patrick Beverly was the great line. Send their ass home, even though it cost them $50,000. But anytime I could get a Patrick Beverly moment to discuss, I have to let it out. But the Grizzlies, even with Ja Morant out for a good portion of the season, 54 wins this season. They are second. They get the second seed. Dylan Brooks put the team on his back, and this team is awesome. I think they're going to actually sweep the T-Wolves, even though they're coming into their own with, D'Angelo Russell and Cat and all those guys. But I think the Grizzlies are going to continue this very modest, definitely not modest, this stellar run. And I think that they can really make some noise, barely get in last year, needed some experience, which we talked about on this podcast a year ago. And this team is a year better with just so much potential. And Ja Morant is going to be returning. So, I mean, what do you guys feel about the Grizzlies? Is this a start of a deep run for them? Or do we think the T-Wolves might shock us all or whatnot?
I'm gonna give you the shocker. I'm gonna give you the shocker.
Yeah, please do. Okay.
T-Wolves in 7.
T-Wolves is 7.
I'm right behind you. I'm right behind you.
Okay,
I'm gonna let you go first.
It's a little different than I thought, but tell me about it.
Anthony Edwards.
I love him. He's so good.
Great player.
He's so good. He's so much fun, and like he's that like people like the problem with Towns, like Jimmy Butler told us, like Towns is not that he don't got that dog. Anthony Edwards got that dog. Like he's the dude. Like
did you see him in that playing game? He was fearless. I mean, he took over that whole game in the second half.
He's going to be so good next year. Like this T-Wolves team is going to be good. I don't know who's going to win this. This is the best Western Conference game series, like hands down. This is.
And you know what? I also want to give a shout out to that Minnesota crowd, because I did not know if Minnesota was going to be a good sports town or not, but they showed up for that play-in game. I think the home court advantage for them is going to be real. I know Memphis got a good one too. I think this is going to be a back and forth series.
You can't sleep on that.
Yeah,
you can't sleep on that bench in Minnesota either. Jalen Noah, Josh Okogie, Tyrion Prince, Malik Beasley, you can't is Malik Beasley your starting guard or who's their starting point?
No, because they start Russell and they start Beverly, because they basically have 3 offensive players and then they have McDaniels and Beverly to play defense.
You got Beverly, the dog. So
no, this is gonna be a fun series. This is gonna be a good series. I'm really happy for Towns.
I think Charles Barkley said it best, like on TNT the other night. He was like, Memphis is a real young team. They never had to deal with like an agitator before. Like, how is like Ja Morant gonna react to Patrick Beverly being in his face every single game?
Ja Morant is going to average 29 a game. He's going to average 29
Ja Morant
a
has
game.
never played in the playoffs before. He played last year, but
I'm not worried about Ja at all. Because they look
really.
No, Ja just cooked everybody this year. Like
I love
even going 20-5 without him, you still have that team plus this, rising star in the league. You guys still don't feel that the Grizzlies.
No, I think that the Memphis is still going to win.
I think Memphis is going to be good for a long time. I just don't think they're there yet. I think this is going to be a close series, 7-game series. But I think T-Wolves got the veteran presence. D'Angelo Russell's going to step up in this series. I think he's going to be a big factor.
His time in Golden State built him as a player, helped him become more of that guy and feel himself more, matured more. So now when he's playing his head off, Cat is playing phenomenally. Like,
he's so good. He's the best shooting big man of all time.
Let's go. Like Vanderbilt, like they got too many players that are just performing for them night in and night out, just working their heart out. Now, you cannot say the same. You can't not say the same thing about the Grizzlies. Dylan Brooks, JJJ, like they got who's the other dude over there?
Huh? You already said
guard. He's a guard, I think, or a small forward. Shit.
I'm trying to pull up the roster real quick.
Damn,
I'm sorry, I got distracted by something else.
All I was gonna say with Memphis though is that I feel like this is the classic like first round scare when a team is about to go off. So I think that Memphis is that team that's about to just take off for the future for the next 8-10 years. But I think that this is like the first round scare that they're gonna need. And I agree with you guys. I think that this is probably gonna go 7, but I'm gonna go towards Memphis.
Yeah, this is the first time Memphis is like they're not the underdog. They've been in the underdog in every series they played.
Yes.
Like this is like both of these.
The first time they've ever been favored in a series.
Yeah, because the last time they played Utah. They took 1 from Utah, and then I think they lost in the play-in the year before. Like they've never been this
favorite.
Is their first time being like somebody's taking them seriously. And these Timberwolves, like they're gonna be good next year. And this Memphis team is going to be good next year. Like these are good teams for the future. The West is going to be fire.
I think the stat that got me was the fact that the T-Wolves have made the most threes in the NBA this season. I mean, you
got Towns is shooting like he takes like 10 threes a game.
Listen, Steven Adams is a great physical big man.
Oh yeah, he's going to be a problem.
He's not stopping Cat though. He's not stopping that.
I actually I'm gonna love to see that matchup though, because I think Steven Adams might get underneath his skin a little bit.
Zaire Williams. That's why I got this shit going 7 games.
Yeah,
this is probably.
Zaire Williams wasn't that good this year, but I mean, he's still.
Yeah. I'm gonna say the same thing Bars said. I got T-Wolves in 7. I think it's gonna be a long series. That's my final pick on this one.
Yeah, same here. I'm done.
I got Memphis in 7. Or you know what? Honestly, I can say Memphis in 6. I think there's probably going to be a game. Okay. We're going to see a game where Ja goes for like 50.
I will.
But at the same time, like either Anthony Edwards or Cat is going for 50. One of them is going off in this series, and there's probably going to be over under 7 like poster dunks for the entirety of the this is going to be the most posters in a first round series if anyone keeps stats of that. We're going to see a dunk that like look, Ja had the play of the year when he did the one on when he played San Antonio and they had that play with like 1 second left and they threw it up to him cross court and he like caught it in the air and threw it in. I just want to see Ja and Anthony Edwards get into like a dunk off in game.
Let me just say this, Matt.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be a phenomenal, series, a great matchup. But who's stopping Anthony Edwards? Who are they going to put in his face to slow him down? It's proven you can't put anyone in this kid's face.
Dillon Brooks, he's just going to tackle.
Yeah,
that's all he does.
It's going to be a battle between them, and like I said, I just love seeing how far this team came. and I don't have the official odds, I will still do my notorious bet of a 4-game sweep. I just think that this team with even a tad more experience can still pull off this. I see right now FanDuel's to win it all. It's plus 1,400. But for this matchup, I will. This is just for to win the entire thing for the Grizzlies. And yeah, we got right here. Oh, it's irrelevant at the moment, but yeah, I'm still gonna do it, and I know it's not the popular opinion, but I still think if anyone could pull it off with just how this team has played, all in all, we'll see if I'm ultimately right or wrong. But I will definitely crow when we meet up for the conference semis and see if I was right or wrong, or just you all make fun of me, and I will take it like a man. So, anyways, moving on. We have the Sixers versus the Raptors. A Sixers team that has been playing really well despite the decline of James Harden again. But I guess this could be a battle of Toronto's flexibility as well. It could be really interesting. With the team still led by Nick Nurse, said still winning 48 games this season. Ultimately, we have a Sixers fan in the chat. In Desmond, is the process finally going to be fulfilled, or is this going to be a very tough loss by a Raptors team that still somehow finds their way in the playoffs and win a round or two?
Listen, I'm going to be honest with y'all. I'm a Sixers fan. I'm a Philly fan for everything. Eagles, Flyers, Phillies. But it's going to be a tough series. It's going to be a tough series because the Sixers have the better team, but they are known to choke. And I am not buying the James Harden stock until he proves me otherwise.
And because we know he's been so great in the playoffs.
Yeah. So I'm gonna give you my prediction first. I'm gonna give you the reason why, but I'm thinking Sixers in 7. I think it's gonna be a real close series. I think that Toronto's gonna get us at least twice in Toronto, and I wouldn't be surprised if they got all 3 games in Toronto.
Do we have any unvaxxed Sixers on the team?
Yeah, Matisse Thybulle. He won't be able to go up to Toronto.
Yeah.
So he won't.
But it's not that he's unvaxxed. He missed his second shot, right? Isn't that what it was?
That's still considered unvaccinated as far as Toronto's concerned.
I mean, that's like a really stupid.
hey, that's a different stream. That's a different stream. We'll get into that one later. But yeah, he won't be able to go up to Toronto for any of those games. But I think what it really comes down to for me is Tobias Harris. He has not figured out his role on this team ever since James Harden got there, and honestly just keep it, just like 100 with everybody. Tobias Harris never figured out his role on this team. Like, it was a mistake to give him fucking I don't know if I'm supposed to curse or not, but to give him Jimmy Butler's contract. When Elton Brand gave Tobias Harris the contract that should have went to Jimmy Butler, it has been all downhill ever since then. Tobias Harris takes these contested jump shots time and time again for no reason that just cannot make any sense. He's a volume shooter on a team where he doesn't have the volume anymore. So he is kind of out there on an island. We're not really sure what to do with him. I mean, thankfully, we don't really have to worry about him as much since Tyrese Maxey kind of came out and has been going out of his mind the last few months. Actually, this whole season. He might be our second best player if James Harden keeps being inconsistent. But Joel can't do this by himself. And I think our supporting cast is kind of lackluster. And Pascal Siakam is a problem. So I expect the Raptors to get at least 2, if not 3. I'm just going to stick with saying that Sixers in 7.
I mean, you have the best player, but
which will win us the series. But it's going to be tough.
Yeah, this is not the end of the process. The end of the process is a title. And look, the real question is, how much are you going to? The real question for the Sixers is how much are you paying James Harden next year for when he wants out in 10 months?
It was a mistake to get him.
I mean, you weren't getting more than him. But this Raptors team. Look, I love this Raptors team. I love Scotty Barnes. He's so good.
And Van Vliet's great too.
Fred VanVleet's been going off.
They don't have a big man. They don't have the size really to bother Embiid. but it's not going to matter because they routinely play like 5, 6, 7 guys and above who have like 9-foot wingspans, and they're just going to like swamp all of their guards. Like, but they can't shoot. Like they don't really have any shooting other than Brand Fleet. But this is going to be like, these games are either going to all be like rock fights, or the Sixers are going to get hot in a couple of them and hit like 10 threes and blow it out. Like, none of these games are either going to be down to the wire when Embiid has to go for like 35 a game, or something else. But like,
I see it really similar to how the Sixers matched up against the Hawks last year. There were so many games where they should have just won those games, but they kept finding ways to let the Hawks come back in and come back in and come back in. And they eventually would steal the game. Like, the Sixers don't have this like killer mentality. That's the problem. Joel does not have a killer mentality. Like, he's a little too complacent with his jump shot.
He doesn't have like the same support. He also doesn't have as good a coach. Like Nick Nurse is like,
we taking shots at Doc Rivers right now?
Yes, I'm taking shots at the coach who has lost more Game 7s and blown more 3-1 leads than any other coach in history. Yeah, I'm going to take some shots at him, since Nick Nurse is clearly a better coach.
Same number of championships.
I'm going to go 4-1 Philly. And that's just from me just scanning over the rosters. What seeds are these guys? Philly's
4 or 5.
Yeah, Philly's the 4.
Which
they lucked out on. Like, if they were the 5, they probably would have lost the series.
I believe it doesn't matter what seed they were in. I believe
it matters because title.
Philly, Toronto. Yeah, James Harden may be trash, but like, I believe that this is like a year where he's gonna show a glimpse of what he could possibly do in the playoffs, and ultimately still like flop out somewhere towards like the conference finals or something. But I think as far as this matchup goes, I think Philly's gonna take it. Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid,
he's gonna have fire. Tyrese, there's gonna be like 1 or 2 games in this series where he just gets like, he goes for like 0 for 15 and has like 6 turnovers, and everyone's gonna hate him. Like, you know that game is coming, where because this Toronto team's defense is going to eat him alive.
Maxey is my favorite player on the team right now. I love that kid. I mean, if he has a bad game, it'll be all right.
He plays hard every night. It's gonna happen. But like, he had a good year. I was a big fan of him this year too. I can't believe they got him in the draft. They got him at like 21.
I don't think Toronto can outscore them, and the only way Toronto can beat them is if they stifle them. Like, so if they're stifling, then yeah, okay, then they got it. But like, this team is kind of built to whoop them out, yo. To be honest, like.
No, I mean, they definitely could. I think my whole issue with Joel is like how he wants to play. Because when he decides that he wants to dominate, no one in the NBA can stop him. But he gets like lazy sometimes and just like settles for these long jump shots. I'm just like, man, you are a beast. Like, you are almost as big as Shaq. Like, get down there and fuck shit up. Like,
it's like a grizzly bear. It's like a grizzly bear trying to kill you with a scalpel. Instead of
swing that paw, man.
Like, just swing away, Bobby. Like, I don't understand. Like,
I heard Draymond Green saying it on TNT the one time when he was filling in. He was like, every time that Joel Embiid, gets out of the paint, he's doing everyone in the NBA a favor. And I'm like, yeah.
Didn't he lead the league in like mid-range shooting last year? Like, he was like, his jump shot was unbelievable. So it's not like it's a terrible thing.
But no, he's a good jump shooter, but he settles for it too much. I'm like, yeah, if you're open, take it. But like, get in the paint and dominate. Like, they can't stop you.
Take those shots if they decide that. If you feel,
he should be in the paint because they don't. Toronto doesn't have the size. Like, I don't even know. Is Ibaka playing? I don't remember if he's still in the league.
Ibaka plays. Ibaka plays from
he's a Buck. He's a Buck.
Yeah,
He's a Buck.
He's a Buck.
Oh, he was on the Buck. He moves around a lot.
Well, he was hurt for like the last 2 years.
Actually, you know what? That's a good comparison, though. I mean, Giannis last year in the finals, when he like transitioned to start like being like more paint oriented against the Suns, that's when that whole series shifted, because he was like, oh wow, the Suns have no one who can stop me in the paint. Like, if Joel just took that same mentality, the Sixers they would be contending for titles every year.
Who said it?
It was actually because Monty Williams put Ayton 1-on-1 on him. That was the problem.
Who said it last year that Ayton wasn't going to be able to stop him? Who said it last year?
Literally everybody.
Everybody.
Yeah, literally everybody.
That was the problem.
There's like 3 players in the NBA who can stop Giannis, and one of them is in LA, and it's Kawhi, and then the other one is like Joel Embiid, and that's like it.
Well, that will be a good transition for the next matchup to discuss, where we have the reigning champion Milwaukee Bucks playing the Chicago Bulls. Now, the Bulls were definitely the hottest team in the NBA until Lonzo Ball gets hurt, and he will not be appearing in this postseason. How much of a factor does this play against a Chicago Bulls team that was hitting every single mark you wanted in a good team? They got boards, they shot. DeMar DeRozan became an NBA MVP candidate at one point. And now, as Bach said, do you expect them to get swept by the reigning champions? Or do we think that they have any fight whatsoever? Or if not, then we'll maybe next year they can push. What do we?
Here's my hot take for this one. We haven't talked about the 1-8 matchups yet, but this will be
those for last.
But this will be the least entertaining series of all 8 of them. I seriously believe that the 8 seeds will give more competition to the 1 seeds than the Bulls will give to the Bucks.
Well, not in the East. In the East, they'll be closer than it will be in the West. But this Bucks team is sweeping them. They're going to even
if the 8th seed in the West is the Clippers and the 8th seed in the East is the Hawks, they'll probably both at least win a game. But Bulls team, they ain't winning a game.
No shot.
It is a
4-0 sweep. Hold on. Is my man Vucevic still playing?
Yes, but it doesn't matter.
Why? What do you mean?
Why? Because he's like the 6th best player on the floor.
How? How is he the 6th best?
Well, because Giannis is the best player, and then the 2nd best player is still Giannis, and then the 3rd best player is what, like Zach LaVine.
Chris Middleton, give some love, Chris Middleton.
No, yeah, like
DeMar DeRozan is still alive. Breathe some.
It doesn't. First off, whichever guard that isn't. First off, I'm sorry to Zach LaVine. You're about to go meet Drew Holiday. He's going to steal your soul. And I'm sorry, Patrick Williams. You have your first playoff experience is guarding Giannis. He's gonna average like 38 against you. Like
Zach LaVine's.
Look. Like in March, they were a solid team when they had their full team. They're an interesting team. They'll be an interesting team next year. They're not winning a game this year. They're outmatched on like every level. They do not have what it takes. This is the team that, first off, this is the team that's making it out of the Eastern Conference anyway. But they're not going to win it. They're not going to win again. Unless Zach LaVine goes for like 50.
4-2 the Bucks. The Bulls are pulling 2 games out. Vucevic, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan. I see them doing something. I'm not gonna just turn my back on this team.
I think the Bulls are going to be great next year when they get all their pieces back. I think Lonzo's great. Alex Caruso is great. LaVine is great. But LaVine's not used to being these presser situations, which I said about Memphis, about other teams. I think that DeMar has, but the Toronto, but is he though? Because those Toronto teams, they were suspects. Him and Kyle Lowry, they had like the worst playoff win percentage ever.
When DeMar was there, they were first in the East.
No, but in the playoffs, they actually had the biggest differential of like being great in the regular season and then tanking in the postseason. Him and Kyle Lowry.
They didn't have Pascal back then. If they had Pascal back then, like, come on.
I'm just saying, DeMar's experience in the playoffs is losing. So
it's losing. Like even like they got swept by that Wizards team the last time the Wizards were in the playoffs. They're not
before Jordan got Pippen in a team. His experience in the playoffs was also losing.
He got out the first round. He got out the first
round. Lamar. DeMar is like 35 now.
And
I mean, DeRozan wasn't dropping 62 on the Celtics though. I mean,
I think it was against Shaq's Magic that they didn't make it up the first round.
Yeah, that was the year Jordan came back. That was the year Jordan came back.
That was the year Jordan was out.
No. The year they came back, they lost to the Magic. That was the year they won the finals.
Okay.
That was 94.
95.
No, hold on. Let's not pretend that Jordan. Look, DeMar had a good year. He's probably first or second team All NBA, but they're not going to win this series, and I don't think they're going to win a game because
I don't think they're going to win either. But I think they're going to win 2 games at least, maybe 1.
All right, so Fresh Faces and me are both 4-0 Milwaukee. Looks like Bar's got You have 4-2 Milwaukee. Alex, what you got?
Yeah, 4-1.
4-1.
I'm also with 4
game too. At least
Milwaukee.
4-1.
I got at least one because look, they had an amazing year, and I think that they have enough firepower. They could steal a game, but Milwaukee's overpowering. They're the most experienced team. They're just. I think the only way they can even take a game off them is if they just lay down a game, like a game 3.
Yeah, like a game where the Milwaukee just can't shoot because
right, exactly, yeah. You get that proverbial game where they can't shoot, they can't hit anything, and the other team comes out red hot because they're trying to save their season.
Because you know, Drew Holiday in every series is going to have a game where he goes 0 for 15.
Yeah.
And
That's true.
That's true.
That's the only way. But on the other side, Giannis can say "fuck this" and I'm going to score 50 again, and it's not going to matter.
Well, also the Bucks have a great supporting cast. I mean, Covington's a good player. I mean,
and you don't know who Grayson Allen's going to hurt.
Great.
They have a legit cycle playing, so he can go off out of nowhere for 30-6, randomly. What are we doing?
All right, let's go to a more interesting matchup.
Yeah.
And that matchup is we have the Dallas Mavericks and the Utah Jazz.
That's more interesting.
Okay.
I will say one thing here. This was a great matchup until the last game of the season. Jason Kidd puts Luka in a little too long and has a calf injury. Listed day-to-day, but they have to figure out how to win with or without him. But yes, at least out for game 1 for now. But excuse me. But obviously the Jazz, who might be on the verge of imploding their team. Then you have the Mavs, who, like I said, are not going to have Luka for at least game 1, but there is at least optimism that he will play at some point in the series. But Spencer Dinwiddie has been stepping up for this team. They do have so much potential as the 4th seed coming out of the West. But like I said, if the Jazz are about to implode, what can that mean for the morale for these NBA players from Utah? It's very interesting to see where it goes. But I do think ultimately this will put the nail in the coffin for the Utah Jazz this season and whatever era this is in the Mitchell, Rudy Gay era. And I think that the Mavs are going to win in 6.
I call a game 7. Give it to Utah. If Utah does not end up winning, blow it up.
Oh, they're blowing it up. Look, the only way Utah wins the series is if Luka doesn't play.
Mm-hmm.
Or he's severely hampered. And then look, the thing is, they're still going to probably get Rudy Gobert anyway. He's probably going to Dallas.
Oh, did I say Rudy Gay for some reason? Rudy Gobert, exactly.
No. I definitely don't.
They want it. They need a big.
Luka's not enough. He's going to be coming off of an injury. He's going to have to play his ass off.
Do you know who he is? He's the 3rd best player in the West.
I agree with Bars on this one. I think I got Utah in 6. I think,
but it all depends on how much Luka plays.
That's actually the whole point, though, is because Luka has the highest usage rate of any player in the NBA, which means that if he's your whole team and they're saying he might come back, that means that there is some aspect of injury there. So even if he does come back, play every game in the series, he ain't himself, and he can't carry the whole team. If he was healthy, I would still think that the Jazz will win in 7. With him being injured, Jazz in 6.
He's a walking triple-double, which means he's assisting more than most, he's rebounding more than most, and he's definitely scoring more than everyone else. So
he's your whole team.
That's your fucking entire squad. He does not play the greatest.
Look, the thing is, Utah has the same problem they've had for 3 years. All Dallas has to do is just hit threes, because Utah does a drop coverage and they can't guard the 3-point line, and they don't have anybody who can guard wings or point guards, and they're just their offense is I trust Dallas's defense more. Rudy Gobert has legitimately, I was watching this today, Rudy Gobert's offense is a joke.
He has no offense. He's this era's Ben Wallace.
He's good defensively, but they'll just run him off the court. And Utah has no backups for it.
The man's upside for offense is through the roof, but he can't fucking put it down. Like,
dude, he has less attempts after one dribble than Hassan Whiteside, who backs him up. Wow. He has half as many attempts as Robin Lopez. Like, the man can only – he basically has Mitch Robinson range. If he's not standing next to the rim and dunking it, he can't score. But, like, look, if Dallas hits threes, it's over. There's still, like, even with Luka, they have a better shooting team.
You know, I will say one thing about Luka, though. He's kind of like, 4 or 5 years ago, James Harden, in the fact that he does seem to rely on contact a lot. So, with the NBA calling less fouls in the playoffs, I wonder if he'll be able to adjust his game to be able to play through contact more. And the Jazz do play physical defense.
They play like Mike. Is Mike Conley playing?
Yeah.
Mike Conley is like 6 inches shorter, like 60 pounds less than Luka. He's not going to guard him.
He's been one of the
right, but can Luka get around him though? Is that calf injury allow him to be fast enough to get around Conley, who is a good defender, being a smaller guard?
Body
he's the first team all defender. Like, maybe not like this
3 years ago.
But he's
good enough. He'll slow down an injured Luka.
So you're saying that Patrick Beverley was a better dog than Mike Conley?
He is now.
Well, injury for injury's sake, Mike Conley is not the player that he used to be. But Mike Conley was the player from that perennial Grizzly team that I was talking about.
Yeah, Mike Conley was good when they traded for him 3 years ago. I'm not saying that. Like, look, it's all going to depend on how many games Luka plays. This series, if Luka plays, Dallas wins. If he doesn't, Utah, or if he's hampered,
if Luka plays, Dallas still loses.
I'm with bars on this one. Utah in 6. Utah in 6.
It doesn't matter.
I'm giving him 7 games because it's Luka. I give him 7 games.
I think Utah. I give a real advantage to home court in this sport. I think basketball has probably the best home court advantage of any of the 4 major sports. Utah's crowd is much more intense than Dallas's. I think that Utah's fan base will actually help out in a lot of those games in Utah.
Don't forget that Jamal Murray scored 50 because Donovan Mitchell made him. Don't forget that.
Jamal Murray scored 50.
So did Donnie.
Yeah, and then if you were taking a clutch shot, I'm still taking Luka. My statement remains that Dallas cannot, or that Utah cannot guard a perimeter threat to save their lives. If it comes at no point do I believe Utah has a lead that's insurmountable unless they're up 50.
This still comes down.
Anytime Utah is up, I do not believe that they are up. They do not believe that they are up. It's in their head. If they're up 20.
If they're up 20, we have Bach frozen at the moment. I'm sure he's going to fix that.
He's about to go in, too. He's just about to go in.
Now, that is this picture for anyone who's watching. Bach, you back?
Yeah, I'm back. I'm sorry. My shit dropped.
You were saying?
I don't know where I cut off. What I was saying was if Utah's up 20 and it gets to a 10-point game, Utah will lose that game because they're going to go, oh, shit, here it goes again. Because in the past, 2 weeks, they've blown how many 25-point leads? 3?
If we're taking bets right now,
who do they lose those games to?
I got $5 saying, because now betting is legal in America, I got $5 saying that Donovan Mitchell scores more points than Luka Doncic in this series.
I need a.
Well, hold on. That's not fair.
Luka's probably not playing that because that'd be perfect.
Hey, listen. It doesn't matter.
Luka averaged triple-double against Kawhi and Paul George.
I'm just saying. I'm already taking Utah as a whole anyway. So I already got my chips on Utah anyway. But I'm also saying on top of that, Donovan's getting more points than Luka.
Donovan proves he's clutch in the playoff. He sent Russ home.
I wouldn't say he drops 50.
He sent some teams home. You got to give him that. He may have lost to the Nuggets that time, but Jamal Murray had to score 52, 54 for them to do it. Come on,
Listen, this is the last go around for this Jazz team. I don't know who they play. I think they played the 1 seed in the second round. They're gonna get swept. If they play Phoenix, they're gonna get swept by Phoenix.
Yeah, we'll save that commentary for the next stream, though.
But it like this
doesn't matter. Listen, it doesn't matter if they win this series or not. The minute they lose, the minute they win, they're getting blown up.
And they should.
Yeah, this is it. The real question is who's leaving, Donovan or Gobert? And the answer is probably Gobert, but in reality, it could be both.
It could be both, but honestly, I'm gonna go with Gobert as well because he's literally their weakest link. He's their strongest link and their weakest link at the same time. Great defense, horrible offense. Like,
I bet you the Nets will want him.
Can't win when your big man is the best on the offense and defense, but
the Nets just took Ben Simmons, so I know they want anything.
Hold up. Let's be real. I would have traded for Ben Simmons, too. I wanted the Spurs to trade for Ben Simmons. I am on record having said that for multiple times that they should have traded for Ben Simmons.
And let it be on record that on this stream, you also said you take Donovan Mitchell. So, like...
Yeah, I still would take Donovan Mitchell, but, it doesn't mean that that's a bad thing. And he's still not... This Jazz team blew its shot last year. Last year was their shot. They're not going to win. They're not going to win this year.
How was last year their shot more so than this year?
Why? Because they were the 1 seed and they're up 25 points against the Kawhi-less Clippers.
Damn.
And Paul George went off because he's still a star.
Kawhi-less Clippers. They lost to Terrence Mann.
What a time. What a time.
All right.
The first of the 1-8 matchups to discuss. The Phoenix Suns are playing either the winner of the Clippers and the Pelicans, who play the day this show airs, so we can even preview that a little. Now, the Phoenix Suns have had a stellar season. Look how good Monty Williams has kept this team together. Improved in all aspects, and it's a stellar Suns team that is so much better than they were a year ago. Do we feel that the Clippers or the Pelicans have a chance at all to knock this team out? I think this is clearly another sweep by the Suns, no matter who they wind up playing.
Yeah.
I
think maybe the Clippers get one. But that they're going to sweep the Pelicans.
You know what? I actually got a weird take here. I think the same thing that Freshface has said. If it's the Clippers get 1. If it's the Pelicans get 0. But with that being said, I think the Pelicans are actually going to beat the Clippers tomorrow when this airs.
Mm-hmm.
Facts.
Why is that?
I just think that the Clippers team just does not look like they just don't look in it. Like when I watched that game last night, it just felt like that just looked like an uninspired team. And when you're in the playoffs, I mean, you're talking about great teams versus great teams. The smallest things can mean the margins of victory. And I think that the Pelicans team, I think they want it more. I think CJ McCollum wants him more. I think he wants to prove to the whole country how good he is. And I was seeing it on display last night.
Yes. And I'm going to agree with Desmond. And I'm going to go off the fact saying Paul George is coming off of a big injury that sat him down for most of the year. I don't think he's going to have the drive that it takes to, I honestly really feel like he's not trying to, play to win. They're in the playoffs, they're going to play in whatever. But, after that, what are they going to do? Struggle their way to what?
Look, the fact that they made the playoffs and the Lakers didn't is still impressive. So,
right. Without Kawhi, too.
And without Paul George for most of this. Tyler's a hell of a coach. Good on them. You had a good season. Kawhi's going to come back next year, and then maybe you'll figure something out then.
Reggie Jackson's a great player. You just got
they had a good
give him his props.
Listen. The problem is Reggie sat on Detroit for too long. And yes, that's the only issue. And it's all right, besides Reggie, who else do they have?
I mean, Terrence Mann's a good young player, but he's a couple years away, I think, from being what he's really going to be.
And Reggie's not young.
I mean, it doesn't look the real talk about this is Phoenix. They're going to the finals.
Hold on, save the analysis for next week, man. You're killing us.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who they're playing.
Because I think the Phoenix Golden State matchup in the future is going to be worth debating.
They're going to destroy whoever they play in this first round. It doesn't matter who they're playing.
Chris Paul is still Chris Paul. At the end of the day, he has those games where he'll be on fire. Red hot tamales, And
they're going to win in 4 or 5, depending on whether they play the Clippers or the Pelicans. And good on both of these teams playing in this game, like the Pelicans and the Clippers, who did it essentially without their best player or their second best player in the Clippers thing. Like their coaches did a hell of a job. They got Herb Jones. Oh, can we talk about Jose Alvarez? I fucking love that guy. He might be the funniest basketball player I've ever seen in my life. For those of you who don't know, he's the backup 6-foot point guard for the Pelicans. My man's, I shit you not, after a basket, goes and hides in the corner behind the refs until the other guard, go look this up. This is like the funniest thing you will ever see. Wow. He hides in the corner, runs up behind the guy, steals it. He has 18 steals in the backcourt in 81 minutes. It is the funniest thing you'll ever see in a professional basketball game. This Pelicans team has so many fucking little weirdos on it that it's like just great.
I have faith in this Pelican team. I think they're gonna send home this Clippers team. Like I said, they're not in it. And even when they're in it, they're just not gonna have what it takes to stop this Pelicans team defensively. There's no Kawhi. That's your defensive stalwart. That's your offensive stalwart.
We haven't even mentioned Brandon Ingram yet.
Yeah, he's had a good season.
Brandon Ingram is trending up. Like, come on, you got CJ McCollum. They don't even have fucking Zion. Okay.
Yeah, no, this is a good look. This is a solid Pelicans. They got Herb Jones. I love Herb Jones. My man's is like
these two.
On the Suns angle, though, this is one of the rare teams that I actually don't mind watching the regular season because most of these teams in the NBA, they're not taking the regular season seriously. The Suns, they took every single game seriously. You know who they remind me of,
on that one.
They remind me of those 2014 Spurs. Like, their ball movement is incredible. Like, everyone touches the ball. Everyone's involved in the offense. Everyone's involved in the defense. Like, 1 through 8 in their rotation is a solid player. The Suns are deep. They are so deep. Like
they're the best team.
This is a really good basketball team. Not just like this year, but like in the last 10 years. This is a solid basketball team. I mean,
they've got 3-time NBA champion JaVale McGee. Like,
hey, look! Don't knock that. That was a good pickup because they lost because Dario Saric, in part because Dario Saric tore his ACL. This Suns team is a good team. Like they are going to.
Frank the Tank wasn't stepping up, was
he? There's a good chance we see a team that goes 12 and 3 in this round of the playoffs. Like this is a chance. This team is like a chance to be like a historically good team. If they there's a reason that they're probably going to win it all. And they're going to win this series. The question is, how much
does the 8th seed get a game in or not?
Do they get a win or not? And I don't think they do.
No. If I think Suns sweep Pelicans. That's my final prediction. I think Pelicans beat the Clippers. Suns sweep Pelicans 4-0.
Same.
I got the same reaction. I think the Pelicans are going to upset the Clippers on Friday.
Yeah.
All right. And then the last matchup to discuss here, we have the Miami Heat, who had a great season in themselves. Again, number 1 in the East. They're either going to go up against the Hawks or the Cavaliers, again, playing on Friday as well. So first, it's interesting to see how these two teams with the Cavs and the Hawks, I mean, the Cavs were in such a good place at the beginning of the year, fell down to the play-in, lose to Brooklyn. And then I think that the Hawks, honestly, as long as you have Trae Young on the court, they could definitely win that one-and-done game. And I think you'll have the Hawks and the Heat play in a somewhat competitive series as well. I also think it will go 6, but I think Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, Bam, and all those guys could take away the dreams of the Hawks. And I think the Heat are going to make the next round with the great coaching again of Erik Spoelstra. So that's what I say. I think the Hawks will take it, but I think they'll fall short against the Heat, but it will be a competitive series. How are we feeling about this matchup, the 1-8 for the East?
I agree. I think the Heat are better. But, look, I really do want to see Cleveland win this because I think it would be more fun than Atlanta. But, Cleveland's the most cursed team this year. They've got, absolutely obliterated by injuries. They lost like 6 starting point guards, Jarrett Allen, like
Yeah.
Put on this Cleveland. Like they were almost the 1 seed before everyone got hurt. Like it wasn't inconceivable that this could have been a Cleveland team that was the 1 seed, like in February.
Mm-hmm.
They have an unbelievably good player in Mobley. They have Darius Garland was very good. Like this is a team that's going to be interesting. The fact that they good on with JB Bickerstaff as their coach, he did a hell of a job making like that 3-man lineup work without a small forward. Like this is a fun Cleveland team to watch. I do want Atlanta to go home then because I'm like they are the most disappointing team outside of the Lakers this year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're not wrong about that at all. No, I mean,
listen,
I would love to see Cleveland upset it too. Like that would be amazing to see them upset the 1 seed because like they've had the worst string of luck. I think, by the way, they're supposed to be getting Jarrett Allen back possibly for this game, but yeah, it would be amazing to see them knock off the 1 seed eventually.
If they're going to be, this is why LeBron's coming back because they're going to be good next year.
The plate set for him for real.
It really is though. Like,
yeah,
the Hawks for Trae Young having so many incredible fucking games and them to still be the Hawks are disappointment, but I do believe that they will beat Cleveland and it'll be Miami versus the Hawks. I believe the Miami's gonna take that, no problem. Kevin Huerter, Bogdan Bogdanovic. I don't know if John Collins is back and healthy yet. They stole Kevin
John
Knox.
Collins hurt. I paid no attention to this Hawks team after they traded Cam Reddish, who I wanted the Spurs to trade.
Oh my god, they traded Cam
that
Reddish,
trade turned out to be nothing.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
I wish the Spurs got him. I would have taken him.
You know,
Cam Reddish is a great player. Like going to the Knicks, I feel that's gonna hurt the rest of his career for a little bit.
No offense, Knicks fans.
Yeah, no offense to Knicks fans.
I don't hate Trae Young like some idiots like others.
Yo, Jeremy Lin eventually
The
got
best
a
point
ring
guard they've had in a decade.
after leaving the Knicks. A lot of players actually after leaving the Knicks get rings. It's fucking hilarious. But this is not about the Knicks.
Yep.
This is slightly more entertaining than the West just because this Heat team is kind of weird.
They're streaky.
But Matt
streaky.
Strus is I feel like he's a budding star. Like he's coming.
The best thing this happens is this is like a good warm-up for Oladipo. Like he's going to be a big X factor.
Yes.
For this Heat team.
Is he healthy right now, Oladipo?
Yes, he's back.
Mm-hmm.
But he's back though.
I haven't seen the Heat play the last couple weeks.
Listen, Kyle Lowry was the piece that this Heat was the piece that this Heat team needed. I love the Dragon.
Their roster on paper is amazing.
Yeah.
I love the Dragon. The Dragon was the man. You know what I'm saying? Like he held us down, came clutch in big moments. But Kyle Lowry is just he brings a player chemistry to the team, and
Bam Adebayo. You know,
Bam is a freak of fucking nature. Like
Jimmy Butler.
Don't let that little the little end of the season tiff fool you.
No,
they're still back. They're all.
I would pay good money to have him back on the Sixers right now, like in a heartbeat.
In a heartbeat.
We did have him.
Contract though, he seems to blow up everywhere he is.
Well, no. What ended up happening in Philly was that the organization was trying to keep Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid as like the 1-2 punch, and Ben Simmons wasn't getting along with Jimmy Butler, and I'm like, listen, just get Ben Simmons out of there. Yeah, I would have kept Jimmy Butler.
And he ended up being top.
Yeah.
Look, Jimmy Butler
made in the offseason make them, in my opinion, I know part of being a fan is being biased and naive. I know Matt said that earlier, being a Knicks fan is a little naive, but I feel like naivety is a part of being a fan because you always want your team to win. But I think we're going back again. I think we're taking the East. I think that we're taking the East this year. I think that we're equipped and built. The pieces that we've acquired in the offseason will help us ultimately see our way to the Eastern Conference Finals. We'll save the rest of that conversation for another talk. But I believe it's going to be a sweep. against the Hawks. Maybe the Hawks might pull out one game because it's fucking Trae Young. But yeah,
I see this a little bit differently. I think if it's Heat, Cavaliers, I got Heat 4-1. If it's Heat versus the Hawks, I got Heat 4-2. I think that Hawks team, Trae Young's floater is like the sky hook from like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Yes. It feels like no one can stop this shot. Yeah. I don't understand it.
And also they can they can get hot, like against what they did to the Hornets. They can always have a game where they hit like 10 threes.
Forget the play-in game. Look at last season. Trae Young destroyed the Knicks and the Sixers like he was playing 2K. He was running into the lane, just dropping floaters.
But there's like a different level of intensity defensively in Miami. Like
it's ridiculous.
I mean, I'm just saying the playoffs are the playoffs, and he scorched 2 playoff teams last year like he was playing 2K. So
no, listen, I agree. I still don't trust this Hawks team. Like I think they win 2 games.
That's why I can't even figure out who's going to win the play-in game. Like y'all over here, like I can't figure out if it's Cleveland or Atlanta.
Atlanta is deeper and they have more experience.
True, but they're playing on the road, and the Hawks aren't as good on the road.
This Cleveland team has one guy who can dribble.
Yo, Garland is a good player.
Yeah, but it's just
second half against Brooklyn.
Yeah, like they don't have people who could dribble. They're going to be if they played again next year, I would pick Cleveland. Like next year, Evan Mobley is going to be eating people.
If Jared Allen was playing, then I'm giving it to the Cavaliers. He's
solid.
I'm willing to take that pick right now. I'm taking Cleveland over the Hawks for the play-in game. I'm calling it right now. Cavaliers beat the Hawks. Then the Cavaliers lose 4-1 against the Heat in the first round. That's my pick.
If it's the Cavaliers, it's 0-4 to the Heat. So the Heat going 4-0. The Heat going to take that sweep. But if it's the Hawks, I see the Hawks winning 1 or 2 games at least. Ultimately, still losing to the Heat.
All right, good stuff, guys. So this is the final thing we have to do. Just no analysis, gun to your head. Tell me who's going to be in the finals and who's going to ultimately win it. And I'll jot this down and we'll see how far those picks go. If you're asking me, it's going to be Heat and Suns playing a 7-game series with the Suns finally winning their first championship. What do you say, Bars, with your thumbs down? Remember, gun to your head.
Because I was with you up until the end of that. Heat Suns, except the Heat taking it.
All right, cool. Alex
games.
Ranelio in 6.
Suns, Celtics. I got Suns in 6.
Oh,
yikes.
Okay.
Desmond.
Right now, I have a rematch. Suns Bucks. I got Suns in 7.
Ooh, nice. And David Bach.
Okay.
I have the same thing as Desmond. I look, they're better than everybody else. Like Phoenix is better than everybody else, and the Bucks are the only team in the East that I trust because they don't have like a random question mark.
I feel like we should be able to ask this question again in the next stream because I want to revisit this. But to tell you right now, Bars, I don't think that Miami has a player who can stop Giannis, and Giannis is, for whatever reason, it feels like he took a step up this year. Like he is even more in his own than he was last year, and I feel like he will just dominate that Heat defense.
This is true.
Yeah, they're going to
just like Chris Middleton. We just need to stop Chris Middleton because
you're right. Because
it doesn't matter.
Giannis can't win by himself. Giannis can't win by himself.
Jimmy Butler's going to shit himself again against the Bucks like he did last year.
Hey, bro, watch your mouth. Listen,
it doesn't matter. Like their best player is better than yours by a wide margin. Their team is better than yours. Like you're a good scrappy. I don't even know if they're better than the Celtics.
Their best player is like literally called the Greek Freak. So, like, you have to understand their best player. I think.
And when it comes down to it, if they put their best player on your best player, he's going to clamp them, and your best player is not going to be able to clamp him.
I think that the Heat and the Bucks are going to be in the conference final, though. So I mean, I feel like we'll be able to come back to this conversation eventually.
Yeah, we will, for sure.
And in the conference finals, it'll be a different story than the finals. Promise you.
And my contingency is on Robert Williams coming back healthy as well. That's a huge key.
I see that's why you picked them.
Such an important part of that team.
That's good in the first round, but after the second round, it gets shaky.
I know, but I'm saying like you gotta have height, you gotta have that balance, and Al Horford coming back too. Like he's not gonna be able to stick with Giannis or whoever they play in the second round or the conference finals, and they gotta find an answer. I mean, there's no answer for Giannis, but I feel like I feel like they're the only team that's even closely equipped to even have the length and strength and height to deal with Milwaukee.
If the Celtics beat the Nets, I will buy Celtics stock, but they got to prove it to me first. They got to prove it to me first.
They do, but I don't trust Miami more than I do trust Boston. I know that's crazy.
Listen, what did I say in the first? I think I called Nets 4-1. So, like, yeah, I want to see the Celtics prove me wrong. They prove me wrong. I'll come on here, and I will give the apology tour. I'll buy stock.
They're coming off. They're going to the East. Who do they play in the second round? They play.
Who are we talking about?
Who would they play? Which team? I didn't hear that.
The 4-5 team, right?
Oh, you mean the Heat?
No, the Celtics in their second.
Oh, the Celtics. They would face the Bucks.
They would play the Bucks.
They're going out in the second round. So, but like,
well, you got to find out at some point.
Yeah, exactly. No, look, I'm going to be honest. Like that second round matchup, whoever Milwaukee plays is going to be probably the best series in the final. In the entire thing, unless Milwaukee plays Phoenix in the finals. Like that's going to be the best.
No, I'm looking forward to this Golden State Phoenix matchup.
That's gonna be a good final.
Me too.
That's what I'm looking for.
But that's gonna be the
conference finals? That'd be the Western Conference Finals.
Heat Buck grudge match.
And it's gonna be a battle no matter what with what we're getting. So, gentlemen, this was everything I could ask for and more. Great job today, David Bach. Bars the God, Desmond Price, Alex Ranelio. This is going to be fun. Let's start the 2 months of these NBA playoffs, and we'll check in a couple weeks once the first round is done. Have a great night, gentlemen, and thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Matt. Happy to see y'all.
It's always love, baby.
Always love.
Oops.